Hi, everyone. I will take you through the sustainable growth and innovation part now. Unfortunately, we do not have Fabian Ziegler with us, our chair. Fabian is not able to be with us today, even if it's, as you heard from James at the beginning. He's going to leave our industry soon, but he asked me to pass some words to all of you. First of all, that he apologized. He's very sorry. He's not able to be with us. He thinks that liquid gas is very well placed today in a very challenging world, in a challenging energy system, where affordability, secure access, and sustainability play a big and very major role. He thinks that to stay there, we need to continue to invest. Absolutely, we need to continue to invest in the differentiated positioning of liquid gas, and this should be probably our highest priority. We have a fantastic product, and we need to keep it in the energy agenda. Innovation is absolutely a priority. It's very, very important to support these investments, and probably it is more important than ever. Sustainability must not be neglected either. We have talked so much about sustainability, so much the fossil world will live for longer. We need to be credible. We need to have a credible story. And we have a credible story for lower carbon liquid gas. DCC Energy, from his side, DCC Energy is highly committed and will remain highly committed to all this. And we will be seeing shortly Donald Murphy, the CEO of DCC Energy, taking the place of Fabian in everything we do in the Industry Council, in the association, in the board also. And Donald, he will be working very closely with James, with myself for the sustainability goals and our activities. Fabian is very grateful. He also asked me to say that to all the members, to the Industry Council, to Sustainable Growth and Innovation team, to all of you, to everyone for the support that you all gave to this activity and to himself and the SGI family. And he wishes everybody well, and he says he will be watching from the sideline. It's really pity to see Fabian going, so much appreciated, but he sends his big au revoir, as he said. And with this few words from Fabian, we can go to the agenda for today. The first part, we covered it already, his introductory message. A very quick highlight of what we had in the program, in the plan for this year. You will recognize most of these parts we have been working on. There were two big items. One was on the applications and technology innovation. The other one was in the renewables. So we have been advancing in all of this, and GTC, GSC. The second part, as I said, the renewables, we have been advancing very much also on the renewables. You will hear more details further down from my colleagues, Gore and Emmanuel. And this is also the continuation of the renewables project we had for 2025. Now, you all know that we went through the strategic review for 2026 and 2028 to get our messages on what we are doing well, what we're not doing, where we should be focusing on, or the opposite. And there are a few things that you told us, which you see up here on the slide. First of all, you all agreed that the mission that we have for SGI is good. So there is nothing to change here, nothing to do differently. We are staying with the same mission. Innovation and technology, it appeared to be amongst the top 3 essential functions that we do in WLGA. So very good, but shows the importance of these two innovation and technology functions for the success of our industry. Sustainability and transition, I mean, you would expect this. For some is very important, for some is less important. It depends on the region where we are. Innovation and renewables in particular. Here we got some messages that we must strengthen our work. It did not appear as being so strong as it appeared as a little bit of a weakness. That means we need to be stronger in both innovation and renewables. And it also, obviously, amongst the actions that the association, the industry needs to take to mitigate the big threats that we have ahead, which are major heads, as we see. The first one, it is policy and regulations. Policy and regulations, including standardization, of course, because it's part of the regulations. This we need to manage it with a high priority, and the other, of course, the renewables equally. It came second as the second biggest threat for our industry. As far as opportunities are concerned, again, you will not be surprised here. Renewable liquid gas and the decarbonization, the biggest, number one opportunity for our industry. With a second opportunity, it is the applications that will use our fuel, end user applications. So these are the key messages from the strategic review we had as far as sustainable growth and innovation is concerned. And then we went further, which you will hear more details about the workshop that we did in Katowice, which expanded on what we learned from the strategic innovation review and with a little bit more detail. And here I will pass the floor to my colleague Sinch.
All right, thank you, Nikos. For any of you who were in Katowice and took part in the strategic innovation workshop, I hope you recognized what I did. It was there's a lot of energy behind innovation for the industry. There was a lot of collaboration and discussion throughout the day. And I felt like we came out of this with some really good concepts and some actionable priorities around innovation. Just to give you a quick overview of kind of how we did the day, there were multiple breakouts that were held, and the breakout teams focused on 2 areas. The first being innovating in our markets. So what are the market-facing innovations that we can act on as an industry that will help us grow, that will maintain our future, keep us relevant, and a key part of the energy mix. The second part then was how we innovate our operations. What are the things that we can do within how our industry operates to ensure we have operational excellence, looking at efficiency, safety, employee engagement, and customer experience. So we took all of those, went through multiple breakouts, and collected, basically brainstormed, I would probably say 100 plus ideas among all the groups. And then we came together and looked at it through the lens of what are we going to focus on? What are of all of these concepts, of all these innovations, which ones are the most feasible and which ones are going to have the most impact? Let's look at those pieces. And then we put together an interactive poll. We put this together on the fly. And what is here on the screen is really, I would almost call it a live shot of the voting. It is the raw data that we looked at that day. Excuse me. Um, and it basically said, here are, of all the ideas we went through, here's what rose to the top. So there's 10 listed here. I'm just going to look at the top 5. AI and the digitalized last mile. So within market-facing innovations, I would say throughout the day, just the impact of AI and digital intelligence was a big part of the conversation and really rose as a key priority. The second, renewable liquid gas, and then data around that, helping people understand what's the size of the market, what's the prices, what's the carbon intensities, just helping people understand that market better and helping our customers understand the impact we have in renewables and decarbonization. Third was growth markets. And there were a number of different markets identified where the folks that took part in the workshop said, "Hey, these are important, and these are the things that we want to see WLGA help our industry move forward on." Some that were highlighted: one, heavy duty engines, those areas that are hard to decarbonize, power generation, and auto gas. So kind of engine applications really bubbled to the top, but it wasn't limited to that. There were other markets as well. And of course, they said, don't lose sight of our core markets either. The fourth one and fourth and fifth actually came in with the same number of votes was data centers. And you may say, well, isn't data centers power generation? And really the group was quite specific that no, this is a growing market. It's not just about the technical innovations. It's about a market that we need to pursue, and then hybrid solutions, which is how we combine with other technologies to provide low carbon solutions. So those were the top 5, and rest assured that we have noted this and added it to our strategic planning process and also our planning for our innovation agenda moving forward. The other piece that we looked at then was the operational innovations. And you'll see a little overlap here, and I think that's because there was certainly a common thread throughout the discussion on the day. First, in operational innovations, supply chain optimization, automation, and tracking or traceability. And a lot of this was just about, hey, how can we be more efficient, use AI and digitalization to lower our costs and be more efficient. There was, James mentioned earlier about safety first, and I would say that there was plenty of discussion on the day about safety and how we aggregate safety information and safety data, analyze that to improve safety across our industry. So I was really glad to see that bubble to the top. Third and fourth, again, was a tie here, improving the customer experience with digitalization. And this one is nearly a reflection of the last mile digitalization that we saw under market-facing innovations, but another piece where AI bubbled up. Fuel tracking and certification. This is all about carbon intensity, but mostly helping our industry understand how we participate in the carbon economy. And then last, really relates back to safety in a different way and reflects some of what David talked about earlier. They used the term that day of the WLGA University, but the discussion went on and we dug into it. It's really about formalizing and making sure that we're delivering training and looking at delivering certification for the industry as well. So I would say overall that the discussion was great. The input was just what we needed as an organization to carry forward on the priorities of our members. So it was, if you have interest in more detail, please reach out if you weren't able to be there. But it was I would say, a successful workshop that will inform our efforts going forward. Related to that, just one last update. Allison mentioned this earlier, but next week, every 2 years, IRENA, the International Renewable Energy Association, holds their Innovation Week. And it's an invitation-only event. We have been really courting IRENA for a couple of years now, going back and forth, and we're very pleased this year to get an invitation to their Innovation Week. The focus, maybe not surprisingly, it relates to a lot of what we just talked about. One is innovation in infrastructure for tripling renewables. So they want to look at closing infrastructure gaps, leveraging digitalization in order to grow renewable production and then renewable-based solutions for sustainable development. So, the focus is really around renewables and digitalization, which we saw as a key point that's been driven through our innovation workshop and our strategic planning. So it'll be good to have our industry present at that event. Nikos, that is all I have. Thank you.
Yeah. Of course, will lead us to our strategic plan and the 2026 action plan. Now going to the renewable activities, and just a very short presentation again, a very short, a few words about how we work and the structure of our renewables with the Industry Council, the Steering Committee, and the two big renewables groups we have. We are very grateful for the Steering Committee for the drive and also for the financing of this very important work. Two updates up as you see on the screen. The first, well, you heard about it, about Fabian Ziegler, the chair of the goal and also the chair of the committee, an outgoing chair now. So a new chair will have to take this place. And also another change, it is that CJG has taken over from Gareth O'Brien in LGAS Linde. So this is another change on the structure of the committee and what we have. So with this, I will then pass it to the updates regarding the first working group that we have, the Renewables Working Group, which all of you know, the chair is Goer Mir from SHV Energy Futuria Fuels. And Goer, I hope you're here, and I will pass the floor to you for more details on the work that we have been doing.
Thank you, Nikos. Yeah, if you go to the next slide. I just wanted to refresh our memories or remind ourselves that in our existing 3-year strategic plan, what are the different themes that were quite visible. And under those themes, we have tried to invest efforts to create some useful deliverables for our membership. Pathways and projections is certainly a critical one. On sustainability certification, we have also produced some deliverables under that theme. On carbon reduction, particularly carbon capture, storage, and use technologies, this is also an important theme, and we plan to also execute a project during the course of this year on this topic. And economic comparison and social benefits. Currently, we are actively looking to partner with an entity that can help us develop a tool for economic analysis. And throughout this year, for the execution strategic plan, we have also been providing a supporting role on stakeholder engagement and advocacy, which is now being formally managed by advocacy pillar when it comes to renewable liquid gases, messaging and engagement. But from our side, we have produced some reports like on gasification to really capture stakeholder landscape around gasification technology. In the past, we have also looked at stakeholder landscape around fluidized catalytic cracking units that can also produce bio-LPG. So mainly from the content perspective, we have been extending support to advance advocacy efforts of WLGA. So if you go to the next slide, Nikos, we have also...
Yeah, okay. Sorry, it didn't move.
Now it's moved. We have concluded the Global Pathways report, which was a joint effort between NNFCC and Fraser Nash, two consulting companies. The report is finalized. An extensive version is available for members, and there's a public version also available on the website of WLGA. But there was an interest from the membership that what happens with the model, can it be reused in the future? That's why we reached out to Fraser Nash, who developed the model, and they had the ownership of the model, to come up with a proposal to to see how we can keep the model relevant for our interests. Can we change the parameters, core assumptions, and then run scenarios ourselves so that we don't have to recreate such models and then reinvest the money from WLGA to do these exercises. We have received a proposal. In the proposal, they are proposed two tasks. So one is to create user guide for the members, how to navigate through the model and the different functionalities that it has to offer. And the second thing is the training session. It would be a virtual training session, probably spread over 3 hours, and it would invite concerning or interesting members from both WLGA and Liquid Gas Europe, because the model that they designed, the design element of those models were pretty similar for the study that they did for WLGA, Global Pathways, but also for the Liquid Gas Europe, European Pathway study. So that's why it would be a joint training session for both WLGA participants and Liquid Gas Europe participants. The date, once it's picked and finalized, would be communicated to people who have an interest. Next slide, Nikos. This is the slide about a roundtable that was organized by International Energy Agency. International Energy Agency is a key stakeholder when it comes to building opinions on energy transition, renewable energy, globally speaking. And we feel delighted to share that LPG industry was also there at the roundtable. It was a company invite, but it did present an opportunity to extend the relationship with WLGA, who already enjoys good working relationships within IEA at different levels. But we want to make sure that WLGA is also closely linked with folks at IEA that are working on sustainable fuels and pathways. The objective was threefold for this roundtable, which took place end of April in Paris, to gather information on what are the barriers towards creating demand for sustainable fuels, including, of course, renewable liquid gases in industry and transport, and how we can use policies and funding mechanisms to address those barriers. And the last one was to get input from those key stakeholders for IEA's upcoming report titled Delivering Sustainable Fuel Pathways Towards 2035, which would be prepared in support for Brazil's COP30 presidency. COP30 would take place later this year in November in Brazil. But the idea is that, there should be some kind of aspirational ambition around sustainable fuels deployment, just like IEA has produced similar reports on electrification and ambition around electrification in the past. Some key takeaways from that roundtable discussion. All parties agreed that establishing a global level of ambition for sustainable fuels deployment is critical, so that at least we align on the direction. The second bit was demand side measures are needed for generating market certainty, but these demand side measures should be combined with right level of incentives to make sure that sustainable molecules are affordable, because sustainable molecules remain expensive, and for their widespread adoption, it's important that we make them affordable for consumers across applications. At the moment, a big challenge is that carbon accounting frameworks are not harmonized between regions. So those need to be aligned to make sure that technologies can be compared on a set of harmonized rules, which would also help us attract investments in promising solutions for market growth. Voluntary markets are not enough. They are beneficial, but insufficient to support business case for sustainable fuels. That's why regulated markets are needed with strict targets around demand creation. And the last item was key takeaways, like we need to also harmonize rules when it comes to certification of sustainable fuels, to make sure that there's no regulatory barriers to cross-border flows of sustainable molecules. That's also important. So that's the IEA roundtable. If you go to the next slide, and that's my last one. We have also made some advances in terms of identifying an entity who has an existing model to perform an economic assessment of renewable liquid gas solutions and compare them with some of the competing low carbon alternatives for different applications where LPG is used. We are expecting a high-level project plan from this entity, which would be reviewed by the work stream to align on the scope, and then we start with project execution. Our intention is to build on something that already exists, That's why we are partnering with this entity. And if that cannot happen, then we would have to look for some alternative options. We have other parties in mind, but we would have to then create that economic model from the scratch, most likely. So that's the progress so far, and that's all from my end, Nikos. Back to
Yes,
you.
Gore, and this last tool will be very beneficial for advocacy also. Yes, when we come to compare the various options, regionally, country based, etc. Right?
That's true. Ultimately, everything supports advocacy efforts, but the prime focus is to make sure that we are using reliable data and consistent way of comparing our solutions with other solutions in the market. That's the prime goal. And if we are able to do that, I think subsequently this data-driven approach would help advocacy efforts. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Perfect. Many thanks, Gore, for the presentation and also for leading this work. And now we pass it to the second working group, which is on the integration of renewable DME in our industry, looking at the HSE issues, operational, environmental aspects. And here we will hear from Emmanuel Manaretenil from DCC Energy, who is chairing this work. So the floor is yours, Emmanuel.
Thanks, Nikos. Let's get started. I think we have already explained how these two working groups interact, and thanks for showing this. Just a reminder of what we do through this working group: research and testing on how DME, renewable DME, can be used with a focus on its use as a drop-in. Also sharing knowledge and guidance, and preparing for changes in standards and regulations. For 2025, the focus areas are, continuation of testing on materials compatibility, but a lot more testing on equipment and appliance. We are completing quite a few guidance documents and are seeking to enlarge the pool of OEMs who contribute to this work. But also at the bottom, you see that in terms of standards, we have successfully last year allowed the exception of up to 12% RDME in LPG in dangerous goods regulations. We want to continue this with a better assessment of standards and regulations that would be required to change in the future in order for our industry, in a number of countries and regions to actually commercialize DME in the liquid gas value chain. So if we look into more detail of what's happening, this is essentially the track record that this working group has had in terms of analyzing issues. What could happen? This is what could happen with DME used as a drop-in with LPG. 119 actions or issues to investigate were identified at the start of this work back in late 2022. And as you can see with this table, we've been quite steadily addressing these. We are currently left with 39 actions spread across the three major areas that are listed at the right, and the majority of the actions will really be, those actions will be addressed during the course of 2025. So I'm quite pleased with the progress, and I want to extend my thanks to the few contributors to this working group, including Nikos, but there's a couple of people that I see in this in the video call, and also others which are not here today. If we move to the next one, just to a bit of detail on a few areas. So I'm not going to read every word on this slide, but you see some updates on the progress that we're making with testing. A lot of testing has gone into elastomers. Have close to 100 elastomer materials that have been tested in the past, and we are consolidating the output of that testing. Out of that, we've also established, start of the year, that N-butyl acetate would be a good liquid analog. So that can be used to test other elastomers, as opposed to testing with the actual DME. We would use this material, which is easier to handle in the laboratory. And this change is already being contemplated to be taken into account in a revision of one of the key standards that is being used in Europe for elastomer testing. Further testing on silver solder, this is close to being completed, and on various types of pipes and hoses. What you see at the bottom is a photo of the special apparatus and testing protocol that was designed essentially to test hoses for their use, their compatibility with DME. So again, a lot has already been done and it's continuing. What is certainly more new for 2025 is the amount of work that goes into appliance testing. So here are a few pictures from the current campaign, which is being run at a French lab called CETIAT. It has started late 2024 and will run until March 2026. We have pretty good results on the first appliances that were tested. And they are tested across a range of dimensions, heat input, efficiency, emissions, everything that essentially will allow us to establish both the safety and the performance of the appliance when it is used with blends of DME and LPG. So that's going on, and aside from these few pictures, I'm not going to give a lot of details, but it's being reviewed by the working group as results are being made available by the lab. And if we go to the next few slides, I want to mention that we have a number of members, both industry associations or individual companies, who are conducting in-field testing, or what you may call trials, in various countries. And I want to thank them also, because this is very valuable complementary information that we are gathering. And just to give a glimpse on what this could look like, we have two examples that I want to tell you about. The next one, I suppose the next slide, Nikos, if you want to move there. Oh, okay. Can you click to show the entire slide? So this is colleagues from DCC Energy in Sweden who have successfully in the past allowed the use of a blend of 20% DME, 20% DME, 80% propane with an industrial user, and they are moving into a second phase of this set of trials with the same customer, but now with a dedicated DME storage on one of our depots, and so the ability to blend DME and LPG in the depot and deliver that blend to the customer, but also distribute 100% DME from that depot to the customer. And this has been supported by the Swedish Energy Agency, both changes to the depot and changes to the customer's installations, so that we can have real life experience of using both drop-in DME blend, higher percentage DME blend, and 100% DME, with feedback from a major industrial user who's also using propane and will continue to use propane on a day-to-day basis. The second experiment that I'd like to show you is on the next slide, and it's one being run by SHV Energy in the Netherlands. It's called the Green Village. Green Village is actually a site run by the Technical University in Delft, where a number of experiments around energy use and energy production are being run. And this experiment has been, initially pioneered by Daimita and taken over by SHV. It's a real house with real inhabitants, which is being well, gets part of their energy from a blend of DME and LPG. If you see the picture at the bottom right, on the right, you've got those green cylinders which contain DME LPG blends, feeding the water heater and boiler installation, which is seen on the picture on the top. This is typical LPG equipment, so nothing special about this equipment, and except for all the instrumentation which has been put there and which has allowed the team to collect data over the past, I think, close to a year. So the results from samples and that data collection exercise are going to be analyzed. And again, we've got lab testing and we've got real life experiments like these ones that will contribute to, again, safe and effective demonstration of DME and LPG blend use in a couple of places. I think this is pretty much all I wanted to tell you about. And of course, we welcome new contributors to the work stream, and both Nikos and I are available for questions on any of this work if some of you would like more details.
Yeah, many thanks, Manuel. Great overview. And many thanks indeed to not only to you who is leading the team from DCC Energy, but also to the leads of the various work streams and to Olivier Aubertin, to Martin Ray, to Marco Ziglioli, also to Werner Willems, who is leading now the work on engines, and very much, of course, to John Williams, who has been helping all this work from the technical side, so well. Okay. This will take us now very quickly, I'm planning to, through the GTC, GSE, and some words about marine I wanted to cover. Well, the GTC and the case also for the Global Science Conference, the GSE, the submissions ended last Friday. We keep, however, receiving submissions, and we keep hearing that some, they want also extension to submit. So probably this submission process will end at the end of this week, or a little bit the beginning of the next, and all the papers will go to the reviewing committee to decide which will be the top or best 10 to be presented in Rio on the 23rd of September. So two things here for everyone. First, if you know of anyone or yourselves, you still are planning to submit something, please let me know so that we can wait. And second, I would say pass the message everywhere. We hope we see again members and everyone in the event on Tuesday, on 23rd of September, to make it again the GTC 2025 as successful as the previous years. More or less the same message for the Global Science Conference. Again, we keep receiving some papers. We have been promised some papers by the end of the week also. And the same, if you know someone or companies, developers who are planning to submit something, let us know. And we look forward to seeing you again for this, the 25th, 26th September in 2025. Now, regarding the activities that we are working on marine, I mean, you know that this has been a great success. The adoption of LPG as a marine fuel in the big vessels, in the big ships, in the LPG carriers. It is so obvious, of course. Last time we had reported something like 280 LPG fueled vessels. Now you see 295 fueled vessels, LPG fueled vessels have been ordered. We had talked about 15 ammonia carriers being powered by LPG last time. Now there are 18 ammonia carriers. And 185 vessels already on the water. So big success, all this. What we want is to pass this success to also non-LPG carriers. And this is where we have some difficulty to do that, but we are continuing our efforts. We have a report which we are completing for the small boats, small outboards. This will come out soon. And very latest news from the meeting of MEPC, the Marine Environment Protection Committee, in September, that the IMO, the Net Zero framework, was adopted, was approved with mandatory emissions and greenhouse gas pricing. It was approved, and it will be formally adopted in October, and we will see it in force in 2027. This is for big ships, for more than 5,000 gross tonnage ships. So this is everything as the update from the sustainable growth and innovation. And I would like to thank everyone for listening.